When I say sports anime, what do you think of? Haikyuu, Kuroko's basketball, Hajime no Ippo? What if I said basketball anime? What comes to mind now? Perhaps Ahiru no Sora or Kuroko. And yes, I've mentioned Kuroko twice now because even after the anime has ended years ago, it's still an incredibly popular show and many consider it one of the best sports anime of all time. Many would say the best basketball anime of all time. Although I'm a big fan of Kuroko, I feel like the anime I'm going to talk about today doesn't receive much spotlight. To me, it seems like this anime has always been in Kuroko's shadow. Get it? Alright. But in actuality, it's one of the best sports anime of all time and my personal favorite basketball anime. Ladies and gentlemen, today I present to you Slam Dunk, an anime that doesn't get talked about enough, an underrated anime that many people sleep on, but hopefully after watching this video, you'll know if this anime is something you want to get into. And don't worry, you don't need to be a basketball fan to enjoy it because I wasn't when I first got into it. Now I know in the beginning of the video it said I wouldn't talk about the manga, but what I'm about to tell you is very important. The Slam Dunk anime doesn't adapt the entire manga. It actually ends right before the final arc. So if you wanted to finish the story, you need to pick up the manga. But don't worry, the manga is really good and very beautiful. Also, for those thinking sub or dub, I highly recommend watching it in sub, and here's why. The dub only covers 84 out of the 101 episodes, meaning you need to switch from dub to sub in order to finish the anime. And because of this weird transition from dub to sub, especially during the end of the show and how it can alter your overall experience, it's the reason why I recommend watching it in sub from the very beginning. Now that we got that stuff out of the way, let's get into the actual review. I wanted to start off with talking about the art and animation, mainly because it's a show made from the 90s and might turn some people off. Personally, I'm a fan of 90s anime because it has a special charm to it, and I think the show has aged quite nicely. The art is actually very nice with characters looking detailed at times, while other times they look like this, but it's used in a comedic effect or for lighthearted moments. When it comes to the animation, it's actually not that bad. If you ever seen Ahiru no Sora, you know that shit is a fucking PowerPoint presentation at times, many times. However, players in Slam Dunk actually move. It's not just still images. So I would rank Slam Dunk over Sora when it comes to animation, and that's saying a lot considering the age difference between the two. In fact, think of the mid to late days of Dragon Ball Z or the early days of One Piece. Slam Dunk had similar animation to those anime series, but not surprising considering all three were made by the same studio. However, don't go into this expecting some Kuroko animation and art because it's not, okay? If your expectations are that high, you will be disappointed, but don't worry, Slam Dunk has much more to offer and makes up for it in many other ways. This is Sakuragi Hanamichi, the tensai of the show, aka the protagonist, who is also based off a real person. Sakuragi is a first year student and he's a fucking badass. His red hair and 6'3" height scares off many people, but for the poor souls that try to fuck with him, get their asses handed to them. And we're talking about seniors, the third year students. This is why I love Sakuragi. He isn't going to take shit from anybody regardless of who they are. He doesn't care about the hierarchy between the juniors and the seniors. He doesn't care if he's facing someone physically bigger than him. Sakuragi will hold his own ground and will not back off from anyone or anything. This mentality of his also plays a role in basketball, and you'll know what I mean as you watch him progress through his basketball career. Now, despite the age difference between him and his senpais, Sakuragi is very strong and has developed a strong athleticism. Not surprising considering he got into fights his entire life, whether it was on the streets or during middle school. In episode 1, Sakuragi meets the love of his life, Haruko-chan. Haruko, impressed by Sakuragi's physique, recommends him to try out basketball. He's never even touched a ball in his life, but he gets into the sport because of Haruko. Yes, Sakuragi didn't get into the basketball team because he loved to play ball. He only did it to impress Haruko.
Look, you're a simp.
And remember, Sakuragi has no basketball experience whatsoever. And you know what? It actually shows. Sakuragi was utter dog shit when he first started out. However, after some practice sessions, he was still fucking dog shit. I really enjoyed the realism here because many other anime series would have given the main character level 100 plot armor and having them jump like Jordan. But Slam Dunk isn't like that. Sakuragi does get better over time and we see him get better over time. We see him learning the basics, trying to apply the knowledge in real games, seeing him overcome these obstacles, his determination to get better, and seeing his love for the sport of basketball grow. While this is all happening, you just want to root for the guy. Well, at least that's how I felt. It's a slow progression, but you know what? That's how real life fucking works. Now, I can't say much, but if you want to look at Sakuragi from episode 1 and compare him to episode 101, it's quite a significant change. I also want to point out that he is basically this anime's version of Dennis Rodman. Just wanted to put that out there for the basketball fans. In short, Sakuragi has gone through serious character development while still staying true to himself. So many of you might be asking, what's the main purpose of this show? What is Sakuragi's basketball team, Shohoku, trying to achieve? Well, if I had to summarize it in a way while avoiding spoilers, I would have to say it's a show about the progression of Sakuragi, but not just his skills as a basketball player, but who he is as a person. We also get to see how the characters act off the court a lot, and this shows a different side to the personality. This anime isn't only about basketball though. It shows different aspects of a high school student's life, studying/exam preparation, hanging out with friends, having a crush, and even gang violence. These different elements coming together just makes the story feel more complete and entertaining to watch. Again, I would like to clarify that many other characters also receive screen time, and we see the improvement of Shohoku as a whole. Sakuragi just gets the most screen time because, well, he's the main fucking character. Now when it comes to Shohoku, their goal is to enter Inter High and become the champions. Some may call it an original, because other basketball anime have already done that. But remember, this is the very first basketball anime, so you can't call it unoriginal because it started with Slam Dunk. Now I'm not going to go too deep into the characters because again, I'm trying to keep it spoiler free, but the starting 5 have all gone through some form of character development. Of course, some better than others, but it's development nonetheless. Let's go over a couple of them. Akagi, aka the gorilla, is the captain of Shohoku and the pillar of the team. Only he is able to tame the wild beast Sakuragi and keep the entire team under control. Even when they're losing, Akagi gives the team hope and supports the best he can, like a true leader. Rukawa, another member of the starting 5. He's got a boring personality, but he'll give you the fucking smoke on the court because this boy is a true prodigy. So good in fact that he's able to keep up with some of the top third-year students. When it comes to the other 2 members of the starting 5, I'll just keep that as a secret for you to find out. But don't worry, they are amazing characters, with one of them having the best development in the entire anime. There are also other members of the team like Kogure, Ayako, Anzai, etc. Although I'm not going to get into them in this review, just know that they play important roles in the anime and are good characters. Let's quickly go over some of the supporting characters outside of the team. Here we have the Hanamichi gang. These are Sakuragi's best friends, and although they shit talk and meow on him from time to time, they support their best friend in every single game and only wish for his growth and success. Even when Sakuragi is in danger, such as being in a street fight, they have his back and is a true ride or die. Haruko is another supporting character we see a lot throughout the anime and plays an incredibly vital role. I mean, if we think about it, if it wasn't for Haruko, Sakuragi wouldn't even be on the basketball team. But even after Sakuragi joined the team, her existence alone has contributed to Sakuragi's growth. As you watch the anime, you'll understand what I mean. And if a character can have a positive impact on the show or the main protagonist from just existing, that definitely says something. Some people might be curious about the basketball games itself. No fucking shit, it's a basketball anime. But first, I need to mention that this isn't Kuroko, and there are no superpowers. Some might think this is a good thing because it's quote-unquote realistic, while others think it's boring. However, because there are no superpowers to show off, we get to see true talent and skill displayed by these players. Now, of course, these high schoolers aren't going to play at the NBA level, but we still see some players being able to actually pull this shit off. And everything these players do on the court is completely legitimate. Because of this, you appreciate and respect the players that are actually able to play at such a high level, but you also respect the opposing players that try their best to keep up with those high level players. And because of how the matches are played, there are many times where you actually don't know if Shohoku is going to win the match or not. This adds another layer of anticipation and gets the viewers on their toes. Now let's talk about the negatives. Ironically, the games of Slam Dunk are where the problems are. I talked about character development being strong in the show, but sometimes it's a little too strong. Sometimes certain opponents receive character development as well, but this happens mid-fucking game. This usually isn't an issue and can actually build up hype and anticipation, but sometimes these developments take up majority, if not the entire fucking episode. It feels like you're being cock-blocked half the time. Another problem is the overall pacing of the matches. Slam Dunk likes to put a lot of emphasis and importance on most, if not every basket scored. Since basketball is a game where multiple baskets are being constantly scored, this drags out a single match for many episodes. Although this is an issue, the character development we see from both teams, as well as the skill displayed from the players, does make the story feel more rich and does a good job of recreating real-life basketball. Now, do I recommend Slam Dunk? Well, if you don't mind the 90s art and animation and can handle the slow pacing during matches, then yes, you will love Slam Dunk. Even if you aren't a basketball fan, you will love this anime because of the amazing plot and characters it has to offer. However, If you are a basketball fan or someone who wanted a quote-unquote realistic basketball anime, then you will 100% love this show. I give Slam Dunk a 9.5 out of 10. Again, pacing during matches is an issue, but there are so many memorable and iconic moments from this show, and I feel like the pros heavily outweigh the cons. Slam Dunk is my favorite basketball anime and one of my favorite anime of all time.